Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about the news that has come out regarding the Xbox Series X, where Matt Booty has come out and confirmed that the Xbox Series X will not have exclusive games for at least 1 year after it's on the market, potentially even 2 years. Now obviously he's not saying that Microsoft isn't going to be producing first-party games for 1 to 2 years. He's saying that any games they do produce will not be limited to just the Xbox Series X or be exclusive to just the Xbox Series X. And some people are running with this in some interesting ways, and I obviously have some thoughts on this, and I know that some people are expecting a very specific reaction from me, but what I want to do is just go over the information, tell you what Matt Booty had to say, and I want to discuss why I think this is ultimately going to work against Xbox, at least in the traditional sense. And that's an important word to, highlight. There's traditional, because everything Microsoft has been doing for quite some time and everything they're going to be doing with their upcoming console or consoles is not going to be traditional. And I just want to kind of talk about my opinions on it and my thoughts. So it says 2020 is when the next generation of consoles is set to be released, but Microsoft is upending the playbook this year by announcing the upcoming Xbox Series X won't launch with exclusive games. Instead, any new title playable on the Series X will also be playable on older Xbox One consoles. As our content comes out over the next year, 2 years, all of our games, sort of like PC, will play up and down that family of devices, said Xbox Game Studios boss Matt Booty in a recent interview with MCV. We want to make sure that if someone invests in Xbox between now and the Series X, that they feel that they made a good investment and that we're committed to them with content. What this means is that Xbox will still have console exclusives on Xbox and PC, but they won't be limited to just the Series X. Upcoming games for the next-gen Microsoft console will also be playable on Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. This is somewhat of a departure for next-gen hardware. While there are cross-gen games that are usually released within the first 2 years of a console launch, there are also next-gen exclusive games that are released to incentivize the early adoption of new hardware, but Microsoft seems to be avoiding that strategy with this Series X. So yeah, that is an important point to highlight there, is that the traditional use of exclusive games for new console hardware is to incentivize people to upgrade. And why do developers do this? Why do these companies do this? Of course, it's very limiting, but it's for one very good reason. It's because when you tell a development studio, listen, this game you want to make, we want you to make it for just this console, this single specification, and that's it. Not PC, not the older hardware, just this one. And you will find that what developers are actually able to do by doing that is achieve things with games that you simply could not achieve with last generation hardware. Now, a lot of people are telling me that you have to account for scalability, that because of how similar in architecture these next-gen consoles will be to one another, it's going to be just like PC. But here's the thing, even with PC, the truth of the matter is this: I'm not a developer, nor am I the most technical person, but I feel as though I don't need to be to understand that as long as you're accounting for the lowest common denominator, and you have to account for that base model Xbox One, or if you're talking about development for PC, you have to account for much lower specs, right? There's always going to be limitations. And normally, I'd say when it comes to PC, it seems like that's kind of up to the developers of how far back they want their games to go. Like, for example, Sea of Thieves is a game where they wanted that game to literally be able to run on a potato if necessary, because they just want as many people to play as possible. They want it to be as accessible as possible. Other games, however, they definitely make it a little bit more difficult, where you kind of have to have some beefier specs to be able to play it. But as long as this is happening, I feel as though Microsoft is essentially just handing the beginning of the generation anyway to PlayStation. But the big question is this: do they care? Does Microsoft care? And the answer to that is no. And this is why I will say the only thing that surprised me is how upset a lot of people, at least based off of what I've seen so far, how upset a lot of people seem to get when they heard this news, when they read about what Matt Booty had to say, because I think a lot of people were actually hoping that upcoming games, at least some of them, right, within the first year or two, were going to be just true exclusives, because not only is that the expectation, but people are excited to see what developers can do, what some of these new studios can do with these new budgets, just working on, imagine that, just making games for just the Xbox Series X, what they would be able to do with those games on a technical level. It's that to me is where the next gen thought really stems from. Like, when you think about what next gen is, of course it's going to be higher resolutions, better frame rates, of course, and quality of life improvements. But to me, that's the next gen thought, is like, what are developers going to be able to do that they just couldn't do previously? That's what I'm interested in. And unfortunately, that thought is immediately removed once you realize that it doesn't matter for the first year or maybe even 2 years, which is extreme in my opinion. I can't believe he even said possibly 2 years. That thought is completely removed. Regardless of scalability, there's just no denying that on a technical level, certain things would not be able to be achieved. Now, of course, it comes down to each development team, right? They have to decide what they're doing for their game, what type of game it is. With the more AA or single A games, this probably isn't a big deal at all. It's really not. But when you think about the big AAA games, the big ones, development teams that can kind of push the boundaries. You think about Playground Games and them working on their big fantasy RPG. Definitely a big team, AAA game. The Initiative, right? This is a team that's supposedly going to be making quadruple A games. I'm sorry, my excitement for that quadruple A game is greatly diminished when you're telling me that, first of all, it might not be coming out till 2022, which is fine, take all the time you need, but when you tell me that it's also going to release on the original Xbox One, now, of course, we don't know if that's going to happen, but that surely is what Matt Booty is making it sound like, and that's not what I want to see. A game like Halo Infinite, I can understand. You know what I mean? At the launch, there's going to be some cross-gen titles. However, I really think that if Microsoft wanted to sell a lot of hardware, it would be in their best interest to maybe have at least one, or maybe at least one, I'd say. Not every game needs to be a true exclusive, right? Like, there's certainly some that could be cross-gen, and that's what I think Sony's going to do. They're going to have some cross-gen games, and I believe it would make sense that they're going to have some true exclusive games that are going to push the boundaries and kind of separate, like, look, this game and what you're seeing with this game, some aspects of it would not have been possible if we accounted for the base model PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Like, this is what you get when you just see, the PS5 being developed for, and just the PS5 alone. But this is where I think people should not be surprised, because first of all, we already knew that Microsoft was always going to be releasing their games on PC, and so with that in mind, scalability was always going to be something that these developers were working around. They're not just developing for just the Xbox One. They haven't been for quite some time. They're not just developing for the Xbox Series X. It doesn't sound like they're ever going to be. And so because of that, inherently, it will always, to a certain extent, be limited, regardless of how scalable some of these games are. And that's just the brutal truth of the matter. And the question is, how much will that bother people? Well, that has yet to be seen. We're going to have to see what some of Sony's developers can do with just utilizing the PlayStation 5 hardware, because something tells me once they see what developers are going to be able to do with just next-gen games, not just Sony developers, but also third-party developers. Think about Rockstar. Think about GTA 6. Just take a second to imagine what GTA 6 could be like if it was developed with just the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in mind. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, what about Lockhart? We're not talking about Lockhart yet because it hasn't been announced yet. Just imagine the Xbox Series X and the PS5. GTA 6, developed just for those consoles. Do you know what Rockstar would be able to do? Do you know what they wouldn't be able to do if they still had to make it for the Xbox One and PS4 in mind? See, that's what I'm saying. That's where I feel like that's next gen. And sticking with the whole Rockstar thing here, for people who don't want to believe me about developers being able to achieve things with their games utilizing next-gen hardware, or just accounting for one, maybe two specifications at most, look at Red Dead Redemption 2 versus Red Dead Redemption 1. The same basic concept of each game is the same, but just look at how much more advanced Red Dead 2 is compared to Red Dead 1. Just look at what they were able to achieve when it comes to the amount of NPCs, the density within towns, right? Just how vast some areas can be, wildlife, things like this, things that just literally wouldn't have been possible running on last-gen hardware. And so for those who want to kind of make it seem like this isn't a big deal, nobody should care, no, there's a reason why people care, because this inherently goes against, in my opinion, the whole idea of next gen. People care about these next gen consoles because they want to see that next gen leap. They want to see what are developers going to be able to do with this console hardware and the games that they put on it that they simply weren't able to do this generation, and what they're not able to do right now. That's what people care about. I know a lot of people are going to try to downplay this and make it sound like that's not what people care about, but there's a reason why this news has been making the rounds for the past 24 hours, and it's been spun in a very negative light, because regardless of how much sense that these Xbox fans want to make, the hardcore who want to say Microsoft doesn't care about that anymore, they don't care about selling console hardware, they don't care if they're selling the most, they don't care about that. Well, you know what? They may not care about that, and because they don't care, you may not care, but I hate to break it to you, a lot of people do care about the idea of seeing some of their development studios utilize next-gen hardware and really show things that they wouldn't be able to achieve with the base model Xbox One. I'll tell you right now, if Sony follows them with this and they don't have any exclusive games for just like true exclusive PS5 games within the first year, I would be incredibly upset. I really would be. I mean, there's a good chance I'd still probably buy it, but man, my excitement would be diminished, because even though we may only get 1, 2, maybe 3 games max that are going to be fully utilizing the PS5 hardware, at least I know with those games I'm going to hopefully see things achieved that wouldn't have been possible if they had to account for the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. So yeah, there are a lot of people who care about this, and there's a lot of people who are trying to go around explaining why this isn't a bad thing, and I guess maybe it's not, because here's the thing. I was maybe considering buying an Xbox Series X. Any chance there was of me doing that is out the window now, thanks to Matt Booty's comments here, because I have an Xbox One X, and if he's telling me that for the next year or 2 years, every single game coming from their first-party studios will be playable on that, then okay, cool. I'm going to buy a PS5 then, because at least with that, I'm almost positive. In fact, I do feel positive in saying that there will be games that release on the PS5 that I can't play on the PS4 or PS4 Pro. And I think that's how it's going to go down. And I think that's how a lot of people are going to end up thinking about it. And so what it all comes down to is, yes, Microsoft simply does not care about console sales anymore. They just care about getting people into their ecosystem. So does Sony, but Sony has a slightly different approach where they still see hardware as the main driver of that. They still care greatly about hardware. I can get behind that because I care about that. I care about consoles, and I also care about seeing development teams push things to the next level. And frankly, everything Matt Booty's saying here, even though it is more pro-consumer, yes, I can agree with that, it makes me feel like, well, what are we really going to see, when it comes to games that are running? Like, I've seen people making jokes like, oh, so now we can just basically expect Xbox Series X games to be enhanced games from the Xbox One X. And you're not really that wrong. You're not. So yeah, that does it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Be sure to let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Let's keep it clean. But, be sure to leave the video a like as well if you enjoyed the commentary or you enjoy the content in general. It really helps. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.